Trading Neoxa is hard now, and you probably want to dump it before it gets worse, huh? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello and welcome everybody to the Crypto Mining Show, your one-stop shop for all cryptocurrency news from the perspective of a cryptocurrency miner. Today we have a new release from Gminer, as well as we will be talking about Bitcoin as a hedge against recession, not necessarily inflation, and some of the numbers we're seeing, especially after the 75 basis point hike yesterday, or BPS hike yesterday. We'll also be talking about interest in Ethereum options rising, as basically what we are seeing is a liquidation of all the shorts on Ethereum running up to the merge. Yes, this is good news for the merge. We're also going to be talking about Ethereum Classic as it pumped. We did cover this on the secondary channel yesterday, as well as on the live stream at twitch.tv/blindrun. And you can check out clips from that channel on my secondary channel called Blind Run, because that's where we put it all. And it's almost monetized. We're so close. We just need to hit maybe about 500 more hours of watch time before that channel is monetized. So go help me out over there. But before we get into it, here's a word from today's sponsor. It's 5% cash back, not 8%. Today's sponsor is Crypto.com. Crypto.com is my go-to centralized exchange for liquidating my crypto assets. With their Crypto.com Visa debit card, I can load up my mined Ethereum to pay for power and other operating costs quickly while earning up to 8% cash back. In addition to the Visa debit card, there are additional fiat options, including wire transfers, to easily receive your profits. Crypto.com also offers additional services, including trading and even staking, to earn additional revenue on your investments. Join 10 million plus users buying and selling 100 plus cryptocurrencies at true cost by using my affiliate link in the description for a $25 funding bonus. Or enter referral code SOAT at sign up for the same bonus. Remember, cryptocurrency investment comes with significant risks, so do your own research. And welcome back, everybody. So first things first, we do have a new miner release from Gminer. Unfortunately, not much has changed. All they did was fix displaying of balance on two miners' pools, the ETH balance when mining on a Bitcoin wallet. So basically just converting it from ETH, I assume, to Bitcoin, and then displaying the amount of Bitcoin you're getting paid out, because, you know, being shown that you're getting paid out 0.01 Bitcoin when it's actually just the value of ETH could be a little frustrating. So nothing really that fantastic going on in the mining software world. However, there is some interesting developments within the supply chain for Bitcoin miners, and this could be extremely relevant on the pricing of ASIC units. Foundry starts a new service to reduce supply chain lag for Bitcoin miners. The DCG subsidiary's new Foundry Logistics aims to lower time and cost of deliveries of mining computers for its clients. Foundry, the digital asset mining and staking firm, is starting a new supply chain management service designed to make delivery of Bitcoin mining computers more efficient as the industry is gripped with logistical issues. Foundry is a subsidiary of Digital Currency Group, DCG for short, which is the parent company of CoinDesk. The new service, Foundry Logistics, is a dedicated supply chain management service that is able to cut down total transit time for shipments significantly, as well as add visibility to various expenses related to shipments. Foundry's Senior Vice President of Infrastructure, MK Scytha, told CoinDesk. Such services will not just lower the transit time, but also make internal accounting much easier, he added. Through Foundry Logistics, miners will also have access to end-to-end tracking as the buyers of Foundry. Through worldwide offices and a network of dedicated on-the-ground contacts for every order, Foundry Logistics ensures cost-effective and streamlined deliveries, providing clients with customs clearance, insurance guidance, ocean shipment solutions, national warehouse solutions, and other domestic surface logistics, the statement added. In recent years, supply chain issues have been plaguing industries across the globe. And Bitcoin mining is no different. Due to the capital-intensive nature of the mining industry, miners can't afford to have delays in deliveries of mining rigs as it adds extra cost for the companies. Transit time and efficiency are of great significance in the cryptocurrency mining industry, where machines' profitability is dependent on a wide variety of factors, such as Bitcoin price and the network's mining difficulty, Foundry said in its statement. This makes the timely delivery of ordered hardware critical to the operation of mining companies, the company said. Bitcoin mining computers often don't have a way to regularly track the progress of the ordered equipment in transit, making the process even less transparent and manageable, Foundry said. Last year, Foundry launched Foundry X, a new marketplace for buying and selling Bitcoin mining machines. Customers using this service will have access to the new supply chain management system, which will be tailored to each client's operational needs, according to the statement. Obviously, it's much better to have supply chain problems start to be solved within the ASICs industry. It's not necessarily going to apply to, of course, GPU miners, because that's still going to go through your traditional NVIDIA and AMD. But it does seem like the streamlined like pre-approval for customs, that sort of thing is going to help a lot. I know that I've run into that for some of the octo miners, for example, and being able to not get stuck in customs and have to wait an extra week is going to clearly be an advantage for people that utilize it. Also, the tracking, across it from shipment point to the, end point is going to be extremely beneficial to these miners. And they're not wrong. Like, if you put in a ton of capital for your mining rigs and they're stuck in customs for a week, that's your ROI pushed out, a whole other week. And that can be detrimental to a lot of mining companies, especially depending on how much they have invested in equipment that hasn't arrived to the door yet. So let's talk about Ethereum Classic. You guys may or may not have noticed the rise in Ethereum Classic. It's pretty much one of the top 3 coins to here currently take a huge leap in price. I believe it's actually number 4 in highest gains right now on CoinMarketCap. You can see here it's up 24% over the past 24 hours. It's up 40% over the past 7 days. Actually, over the past 7 days, it's in second only to Lido. And Lido is really interesting too, because obviously Lido, we'll talk about that here in a second when we get to Ethereum pump and everything that's going on with Ethereum in general. But right now we're covering Ethereum Classic. There's really a multitude of things going on, but the primary one is that Antpool has added a $10 million backing. Ethereum Classic is up 14% following crypto miner Antpool's $10 million investment and Vitalik's supportive comments. Ethereum Classic, a non-forked version of Ethereum, is enjoying a hefty rally early Wednesday morning. Following the infamous DAO hack of 2016, Ethereum split into 2 blockchains, Ethereum, the second largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization, and Ethereum Classic, the real Ethereum, where code is still law. The newly created chain is the currently used Ethereum network, and the hacked chain continues to operate as Ethereum Classic. Remember, this DAO hack back in the day, the argument for Ethereum Classic was essentially, code is law. You have to kind of let it go as far as the hack was concerned. And it really kind of ended up in this position where you had it split off. It ended up, for proof of work miners at the end of the day, probably being best that it did split off, because otherwise we'd have a single chain of Ethereum that would go proof of stake and there would be no, kind of carbon copy of that from a technical perspective. So it's kind of interesting that it did work out in the end. Importantly, the latter will not be merging to a proof of stake consensus mechanism in September. And as a shift to proof of stake would effectively make Ethereum miners obsolete, all eyes are now on Ethereum Classic, which will continue to operate for using more traditional mining mechanisms. I would argue that there are some eyes on other proof of work coins out there other than Ethereum Classic. It's just Ethereum Classic has the most potential to have the increased volume. It also has very easy migration points or methods from Ethereum from a development perspective. So that's kind of why you look at it. But we'd be amiss, if we didn't mention things like Ravencoin, Flux, Ergo, and so on. Those have much smaller volumes though, and that can impact, of course, large trading, which will, of course, impact large miners. So the large miners really do only have kind of one option if we really look at it completely objectively, and that does appear to be Ethereum Classic, and we're talking about large GPU miners, especially things like HUD-8. Antpool, for example, though, recently announced a $10 million investment to back quality projects built on Ethereum Classic. Backed by mining hardware manufacturer Bitmain, Antpool is the third largest Bitcoin mining pool and 14th largest Ethereum mining pool, according to data from BTC.com. At Bitmain's World Digital Mining Summit yesterday, Antpool CEO Leon Elvey announced their support for ETC as it continues to operate as a proof-of-work network. He says, quote, "Let's support the ETC ecosystem and incubate high-quality proof-of-work projects together." And that was tweeted by Antpool early in the morning. Since the announcement, Ethereum Classic has completed a roughly 14% rally over the past 24 hours. More than that, because now we're at $33 a token. This was written when it was $27 a token. And despite today's tremendous gains, ETC is still down 84.62% from its all-time high of $176 recorded in May of 2021. According to CoinMarketCap, it's not just Bitmain that's boosting the smaller of the two Ethereum projects either. On July 21st, Vitalik Buterin, an Ethereum co-founder, also extended his support for the project, calling it a totally fine chain and the original Ethereum. That's a big statement there. He added that if you like proof of work, you should use Ethereum Classic. And we'll have to see how it plays out, right? Because we're looking for these price discoveries. Of course, we could call this a little bit of a price discovery, but the price discovery has to go up much, much higher than that to support all the hash rate coming off of Ethereum. And because Ethereum Classic can be mined with some of the ASICs with firmware updates, it's important to pay attention to it, because that does mean that there are certain mining farms that are running on ASICs that are only going to be able to move to Ethereum Classic. So for the home miner, it might not be the intelligent thing to go with Ethereum just from that perspective, because the competition will be the highest there. Like I said, if we really look at like the top 100 projects, we don't have any other GPU mineable coin though, which makes it a little weird. Like you got some other proof of work coins, like you have Dogecoin here at number 10. But other than that, if you scroll through this list, Ethereum Classic is at least in the top 20. It even beats out Litecoin, which is an ASIC coin. But from there, you start scrolling down. You do have Monero at number 27, but that's primarily going to be CPU. So from a GPU perspective, not much. Bitcoin Cash, which is going to be, essentially ASICs. So if we keep scrolling down and we're looking, in the top 100, there really isn't anything here as far as GPU mineable, right? Like we can just keep going and going and going. And there's really not much until we get to Zilliqa at number 77. But that's going to kind of be mined in tandem with Ethereum Classic, because that usually ends up only having a portion of it needing to be mined periodically, meaning that you essentially mine something else for a while and then you bounce over to Zilliqa, solve a block, and then go back. What makes it, relevant in general is that people dual mine it essentially with Ethereum at this time. So other than those two, Zilliqa and Ethereum Classic, there's really not much here. I think you got to get into the 200s before you really start seeing anything else, like the coins we mentioned, like Flux and so on. In fact, we can probably go ahead and check that here in a second when we get into the mining profitability for the day. Now, there is more support coming to Ethereum as well, or Ethereum Classic. You have the DeFi Llama now tracking the ETH Classic DAO, and that's going to be super relevant as well, because now you are seeing, old DeFi, original kind of DeFi platforms, trackers, that sort of thing start to integrate with Ethereum Classic. This integration is really interesting because it is what we presumed would happen, but we weren't really positive that this type of thing would happen. You know, we've seen the marketplaces for NFTs start to stand up. We've seen some DeFi get integrated. You know, it is easy from the retailer's perspective because you can just connect your MetaMask wallet to Ethereum Classic. Lots of positives there, but the adoption does need to be built upon. What we are seeing now is some adoption of Ethereum Classic start to happen pre-merge, which will happen in September. So keep an eye on Ethereum Classic. Even if you aren't a miner, keep in mind that miners support these ecosystems. And when you see a huge shift like this, it does mean that just by default, Ethereum Classic is going to get a lot of support from miners. And miners are really your base level. They're your L1 of participants within the ecosystem from a retail perspective. So even if you aren't going to be getting into Ethereum Classic from the mining perspective, you should still be keeping an eye on Ethereum Classic. And you can see here they have that tracker here for ETC swap. It's there. Now, we do have some positive news for the entire market coming out of Ethereum too, and that is interest in Ether options rises to record as traders bet on merge. A few hedge fund names have been large buyers of the ETH calls, one trading firm noted. The number of open positions in ETH's options market has reached a record high as an updated timeline for Ethereum's long-awaited supposed bullish merge has spurred demand for call options. Open interest, or the number of option contracts traded but not squared off with an offsetting position, stood at a new lifetime peak near 4 million, according to data from major exchanges, including Deribit, tracked by Swiss-based derivatives analytics firm Levitus. The previous peak, around 3.5 million, was registered in the second quarter. The desk has traded an incredible amount of ETH calls this week, over 250,000 ETH notional. The Singapore-based options trading giant QCP Capital noted in a Telegram chat. A few hedge fund names have been large buyers of ETH calls, and the overwhelming demand has brought September volumes up 100%, the trading firm said, adding, "We expect this demand to continue as we approach the merge in September." Martin Shang, an options trader from Pulsar Trading Capital, said, "There are big players in September and December expiry, betting on upside in Ether. Recently, the spread between prices paid for puts relative to calls has narrowed sharply, indicating renewed demand for calls. A call option gives the purchaser the right but not the obligation to buy the underlying asset at a predetermined price on or before a specific date. A call buyer is implicitly bullish on the market. A put option represents a bearish bet." The optimism has returned to the Ether market ever since Ethereum developer Tim Biko announced September 19th as a tentative date for the completion of the merge. As the name suggests, the upgrade will merge Ethereum's current proof-of-work blockchain with a proof-of-stake blockchain called the Beacon Chain, which has been running since 2020. The transition is considered bullish for Ether. "We're big fans of Ethereum as an asset. Lately, we're bullish on the idea that the merge will create a wave of price appreciation after creating strong deflationary pressure in the form of structural demand," Jack Newald, founder of Crypto Pragmatist newsletter, wrote in Wednesday's edition. While inflation in global economies remains at high levels, ETH will likely become the largest deflationary currency after the merge. Lucas Atumuro, head of research at Into the Block, said in a research report published on July 23rd. The amount of Ether issued will drop by approximately 90%, as will it no longer be needed to incentivize miners. This is going to get really, really interesting too, because nobody that is staking ETH is going to be able to withdraw the ETH. I think early on, like running up to the merge, There may be some, retail pushback once everybody realizes they can't withdraw the ETH. But up until then, I think we're going to just see ETH skyrocket. Now, not financial advice, but all the way up to the merge, I just think we're going to continue to see ETH kind of outperform a lot of other big players, along with probably Ethereum Classic, because you will have that side bet going on with Ethereum Classic. So both of these coins are what you're looking at just in general from a retail investment standpoint. Ether traded at $1,620. It's up to $1,654 right now at this time, representing a 50% gain for the month, according to CoinDesk data. So what are we seeing? We are seeing, basically, just to give you guys an idea, a lot of the shorts getting liquidated and basically bullish sentiment, there we go, surrounding Ethereum in general. And I think that's obviously good for the market as we see it. The big question is, though, and we'll get to it right after I drink some water, is are we seeing, crypto in general, specifically Bitcoin, because we saw everything's kind of green today after a 75 basis point hike or a BPS hike yesterday. We're seeing it all green, but we are seeing traditional markets and the GDP still fall, right? So now, are we starting to have the realization of cryptocurrency based on its fundamental principles from the Bitcoin white paper and the original reason for it being created after the 2008 financial crisis? Is it starting to kind of spread its wings as kind of that hedge against recession? Oh, that tastes so good. Oh my goodness, I'm dehydrated, boys. Let's get into it. We have an opinion piece from WCCF Tech, of all places, first. With Bitcoin's digital gold credentials in tatters, can it still act as a hedge against the upcoming recession? Over the past couple of months, Bitcoin has firmly established itself as a quintessential risky asset, with the cryptocurrency's bullish thesis deriving much of its utility from projections of future dominance. We've continued to hammer home Bitcoin's elevated correlation with the NASDAQ 100 index, which personally I disagree with. Once again, the reason I disagree with this is if I look at the traditional halving cycle, I would expect Bitcoin to be exactly where it's at right now, regardless of the recession. And regardless of inflation, regardless of the macroeconomics, I would have expected it to come down to previous all-time highs. The previous all-time high around 2018 in the beginning, around January, was around 21,000. So 21,000 is exactly what we expect from the traditional halving cycle of Bitcoin. So I completely disagree with this. I think that is still a question. I do not think that they should be trying to hammer it home that it has a correlation with the NASDAQ 100. I do think part of that could be essentially coincidence. That's how I feel about it, which reinforces the risky credentials and heightened volatility of the world's premier cryptocurrency. Against this backdrop, many investors are viewing the upcoming recession in the U.S. with trepidation. After all, if Bitcoin is now to be clumped in the broader risk universe, it stands to bleed should an economic downturn materialize in the world's biggest economy. Nonetheless, the reality is much more nuanced than this simplistic interpretation. The U.S. Bureau of Economist Analysts, the BEA, will unveil the first reading of the Q2 2022 GDP growth rate today, which we do have those numbers for. As per Atlanta Fed's GDP Now model, the U.S. economy is expected to have shrunk for the second consecutive quarter. The funny thing is that they're trying to tell us that that is not the definition of a recession, but I'm pretty sure historically it has been. Apparently, we're just going to keep changing, definitions so that political parties can stay in power, unfortunately. However, readers should note that the recession in the U.S. is officially declared by the National Bureau of Economic Research, which takes into account a host of factors, including the health of the labor market. Consequently, even if the BEA unveils a negative GDP growth rate print today, it is likely that the NBER will declare a recession given the still robust broader labor market. The risky asset universe in the US is being impacted by two key factors right now. Throughout much of this year, the first factor mentioned above reigned supreme, hammering high beta, growth-focused stocks that derive much of their bullish thesis from the present value of future cash flows, and which stands to be discounted much more heavily in the environment of rising rates. The initial correlation between Bitcoin and such stocks was established as a result of synchronous liquidation waves earlier this year, where institutional investors dumped their Bitcoin holdings to finance margin calls on their own drowning positions. Get some more water here. Whew. Now this mentality has been firmly established, leading to a persistently high correlation between Bitcoin and growth-focused U.S. stocks. Recently, however, as economic deceleration fears started to grow amid relentless interest rate hikes from the Federal Reserve, the market has flipped its narrative where the bad news is good news again. The rationale underpinning this narrative is quite simple. With the majority of economic indicators flashing the proverbial red signal, it is only a matter of time until the Fed abandons its hawkish interest rate path and loosens financial conditions. As for inflation, the view goes that the upcoming recession or even a prolonged economic deceleration would be sufficient to recapture this genie in the bottle. This, of course, bodes well for Bitcoin and high beta US equities. Yesterday's FOMC meeting had attracted a lot of attention as investors eagerly tuned in to gauge any inkling as to the Fed's capitulatory mood, vice its hawkish interest rate path. Interestingly, while the statement that accompanied another baked-in increase of 75 BPS in the federal funds rate was quite generic, Jerome Powell did throw the market a bone in the ensuing pressure, noting that what? It would be likely appropriate to slow interest rate increases at some point. Powell also stated that any future interest rates increased will be data dependent. This proved to be music to the market's highly attuned ears, with equity indexes and Bitcoin all recording outsized gains in the aftermath. This brings us to the crux of the matter. Apparently, Fed officials believe that the strong labor market in the U.S. will allow the economy to sustain the rapidly tightening financial conditions, allowing inflation to autocorrect as the aggregate demand in the economy slows down. Should the reality follow this narrative, the risk universe, including Bitcoin, is due rip-roaring gains in the near future. However, consider a scenario where the inflation remains persistently high, aided by the consistently strong labor market. In this situation, the Fed's hands would be bound and the much anticipated easing will not materialize. An even more devastating scenario would be one where the inflation decelerates momentarily, allowing the Fed to pivot towards a dovish monetary policy, only to see inflationary impulse re-accelerating. And that is definitely the fear there. This brings us to the crux of the matter. Under a typical recession, earnings crash as layoffs sap the spending power of the U.S. consumer, leading to substantially lower equity valuations. In fact, the S&P 500 index typically retreats around 35% from its all-time high in a recession. Bitcoin, however, is a non-traditional asset, and as such, it does not have any direct linkages to the aggregate demand in the U.S. economy. Of course, fund flows play an important role in driving Bitcoin's price, but this is a second-order effect. Consequently, once the federal funds rate peak later this year, the tightening financial conditions headwind for Bitcoin and the wider risky asset universe will dissipate. Any recession that then materializes would provide Bitcoin the opportunity to disassociate with the persistently high correlation regime with U.S. equities, allowing the world's premier cryptocurrency to rebuild its credentials as viable hedging instrument. At present, however, we see no indication that Bitcoin is about to forego its torrid love affair with the growth stocks. Until the regime continues, the cryptocurrency would prove to be a futile hedge against macroeconomic shocks. The U.S. economy has contracted for the second consecutive quarter, fulfilling one of the most important conditions for a technical recession. However, as stated above, the NBER is unlikely to declare a recession given the continuing strength in the labor market. It remains to be seen how GDP report affects Bitcoin and the broader risky asset universe. So, what you are seeing essentially is big media starting to realize that Bitcoin does have the potential to break itself free from this particular scenario. And I think that it's one of those things where I think people participating within cryptocurrency, we can kind of see the broader picture because we zoom out on the charts and we go, okay, here's this, we expect this. Okay, this still the expected result is still taking place. What happens, on the next halving of Bitcoin? Do we see it go back up again regardless of recession, etc.? I mean, I think that there is a lot of potential here, though, in the next year or so for Bitcoin to show some pretty crazy strength, especially as we see, the GDP shrink and so on, which, by the way, it did fall. The GDP falls further in Q2, fueling talks of a recession. A widely used technical definition says that 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP means the economy is in a recession. But be careful because, of course, the Fed is redefining that and saying that no, it doesn't. Or the government is in general. Gross domestic product declined at an annualized pace of 0.9% in the second quarter, marking 2 consecutive quarters of economic contraction. While the report on Thursday morning was worse than economists' forecasts of a 0.5% contraction, it was slightly better than whisper expectations for a decline of 1% or more. The Federal Bank of Atlanta's GDP Now tracker, for instance, predicted a 1.2% decline in GDP in the second quarter. Bitcoin, which has risen sharply in the wake of Wednesday's downgrade of the economy by the U.S. Federal Reserve, slipped $200 following the release of the GDP figure and was recently trading at $22,800. It's already up to $23,237, by the way. The GDP report cited decreases in private inventory investment, residential fixed investment, federal government spending, state and local government spending, and non-residential fixed investment that were partly offset by increases in the exports and personal consumption expenditures as the main drivers for the decline. The contraction follows an unexpected decline in the economy in economic activity of 1.6% in the first quarter, which fueled fears of recession. One widely used definition for recession is when GDP contracts in 2 consecutive quarters. However, many economists and even Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell at press conference on Wednesday have refrained from calling a recession because other factors like the labor market show signs of a strong economy. Both the government and the Fed defer to the National Bureau of Economic Research to declare a recession, which takes into account employment, personal income, and industrial production in addition to GDP. I don't know that I believe the narrative that the labor market is good because I've been looking into the labor market. I'm not necessarily sure that it is good. And I've been hearing a lot more about a lot more layoffs as well going on. So I'm not necessarily sure that this is actually like they keep saying this about the labor market, but it's confusing to me because, like I said, if I look at it objectively and I go out into the world and start looking at what's available and, what you get paid, your income rates like they're talking about here, how that paces out with, the inflation. I'm not seeing a strong labor market necessarily, unless we're just talking about where everybody working for Amazon. I do not think the U.S. is currently in a recession, and the reason is there are too many areas of the economy that are performing too well. See, I call BS on that, pal. That's what he said during a press conference on Wednesday. You tend to take first GDP reports with a grain of salt, except we're on the second one, Mr. Powell. Central bankers on Wednesday raised the federal funds rate by a 0.75 percentage point or a 75 basis points in an effort to slow the economy and curb a 4-decade high inflation. Traders interpreted the statement by the rate-setting Federal Open Market Committee as dovish, with stocks jumping after the announcement. Bitcoin saw its biggest single-day gain in 6 weeks, surging 8% on Wednesday, and Ethereum rose almost 12% to slightly above 1,600. Even if the economy isn't in a recession, raising interest rates for the fourth consecutive month could certainly lead to one. And Powell has repeatedly said that a recession is a possibility. He's also said that we don't understand inflation. He said that straight up, but that's okay. The Fed can't say we're trying to push the economy into a recession, but in my opinion, they are, because that's the only thing that's going to slow down prices. Bob Lucino, chief strategist at Path Trading Partners and co-portfolio manager at Stock Think Tank, said, they have no control over Russia, which is part of the inflation problem, and they have no control over the supply chain, which is part of the inflation problem. The only thing that they can do is try to slow demand, he said. And that is one of the things that we really have to get back to and pay attention to as well, is that because of all of the outsourcing that's been done by the Western countries, you are completely dependent on Russia. We talked about this as well earlier this week with the BRICS, which is basically a consortium of countries that are trying to set up another reserve currency. And if you really pay attention to the US dollar and what makes it strong, it's because it's a reserve currency. Most of it's backed by oil, and the fact that Saudi Arabia forces everybody to pay for oil in the US dollar. And that is slowly going away, with talks of the yuan being allowed to be purchased oil from Saudi Arabia. That would take away 20% of the strength of the dollar right away. And then you add on this secondary reserve currency, which is being pushed. That could be very impactful on Western countries, especially the United States, and the value of the US dollar. So pay attention to all these things that are happening, because it does mean that the value of the dollar in your bank account is decreasing. And is Bitcoin the hedge against that? I don't have the answer for that for you right now. I want to say yes, right? You know, that is where I lean towards. And it does seem to be proving itself to be a strong asset in the very least. And like I've said before, based on the previous halving cycles, it's not performing any differently than I would have expected it to, regardless of the larger or wider macroeconomics. Let's get into cryptocurrency mining profitability on my farm for the day after a word from today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is Crypto.com. Crypto.com is my go-to centralized exchange for liquidating my crypto assets. With their Crypto.com Visa debit card, I can load up my mined Ethereum to pay for power and other operating costs quickly while earning up to 8% cash back. In addition to the Visa debit card, there are additional fiat options, including wire transfers, to easily receive your profits. Crypto.com also offers additional services, including trading and even staking, to earn additional revenue on your investments. Join 10 million plus users buying and selling 100 plus cryptocurrencies at true cost by using my affiliate link in the description for a $25 funding bonus. Or enter referral code SOAT at sign up for the same bonus. Remember, cryptocurrency investment comes with significant risks, so do your own research. And welcome back, everybody. So, mining profitability for the day is not sitting too terrible. We're at $118 in expected 24-hour earnings. The past 24 hours for the payout was $114 for the past 24 hours. And this is on Hive on Pool with an average hash rate of 5.08 gigahash a second and a real time of 5.5. Keeping in mind, of course, as we get later into the day, my hash rate will drop down, and that's where that average hash rate is coming from. We are completely on Ethereum right now with, you know, a couple cards that are giving us some issues, but we have some stuff back here to fix it. Actually, right there is a ultrasonic cleaner. We're going to start getting the cards cleaned up, but I also have a ton of products for review. We have a Gold Shell X5 here for Litecoin, Dogecoin. We also have an S19J Pro for review here as well. And then we have a bunch of cards back here to fix for coastal mining. So we're going to be going over and doing a vlog with you guys on how to fix these cards, or at least trying to fix them. And then that'll hopefully give you guys some insight on that technical aspect from the mining perspective. So that kind of wraps up what we've been mining in our profitability. What about what to mine? And the RTX 3090 with a corrected hash rate of ZIL hash at 110 solutions a second, and all of the ProgPal coins up to 60 mega hash a second. What are we looking at? Well, Conceal has topped the charts today at $498 a day in revenue and $435 a day after power. But be careful, of course, there was a recent difficulty spike. So we'll definitely be taking a look at Conceal and what's happening there. Ethereum is back over $2 a day after power at $2.11 a day. Ravencoin's over $2 a day in revenue as well at $2.09 a day after power. We have that nice pump of Ethereum Classic, bringing it into the third slot at $2.66 a day in revenue and $1.89 a day after power. And Neoxa is at $2.51 a day and $1.71 a day after power. But keep in mind, of course, they had the hack, so their confirmations are extremely long. So your likelihood of being able to liquidate at this price is very low. There could be a lot of trouble being spelled out for Neoxa, so be very, very careful with that one. Cero at $2.39 a day in revenue and $1.60 a day after power. Firo $2.30 a day in revenue and $1.56 a day after power. Conflux $2.25 a day in revenue and $1.45 a day after power. And then Flux is at $1.90 a day and $1.20 a day after power. Nice Hash is taking the lead again with ZIL hash at $2.04 a day in revenue and $1.35 a day after power. Ergo way down here on the chart at $1.66 a day in revenue and $1.04 a day after power. Now, let's go ahead and look at Conceal right now to get an idea of what is going on. Yeah, so we have 66 mega hash a second on Hash Vault, so there's definitely a 51% potential there that people should be careful of and cognizant of. Make sure you spread your hash rate out. Maybe head on over to Hero Miners. Either way, you see a huge spike here happening in, of course, the mining in the hash rate, and it's gone up to 3.8 mega hash a second. You'll probably start to see a corresponding difficulty rise, which will mean that it's not near as profitable as it looks like on, the charts right now. So be extremely careful with that. Bitcoin is at 226 exahash a second. No real change. Let's go ahead and take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum's at 928 terahash a second. No real change. A little bit down, if anything. Ethereum Classic is up a tad to 27 terahash a second. And the difficulty is corresponding in a basically rise. Let's take a look at Flux. We're expecting 1 mega solution a second. It's sitting right there. The network is stable. Let's take a look at Ravencoin, which is at 2.27 terahash a second, relatively stable. Let's take a look at Neoxa and see if it's gotten slammed here. Yeah, the hash rate has definitely dropped off of Neoxa down to 120 gigahash a second and a corresponding difficulty dip as well. And then let's take a look at Ergo. And Ergo is at 10.3 terahash a second. No real changes. Mining pool profitability for the past 90 days, Ethermine in first, Mining Pool Hub in second, ZET in third. Last 60 days, ZET in first, Ethermine in second, F2 Pool in third. Last 30 days, F2 Pool in first, Mining Pool Hub in second, Hivon in third. Last 21 days, Mining Pool Hub in first, F2 Pool in second, Nano Pool in third. Last 14 days, ZET in first, Nano Pool in second, Mining Pool Hub in third. Last 7 days, ZET in first, Nano Pool in second, Ethermine in third. Last 3 days, ZET in first, Crazy Pool in second, Nano Pool in third. And for the last day, ZET in first, Mining Pool Hub in second, and Nano Pool in third. ASIC miners on their profitability. Let's go ahead and get a look here. We have the Antminer L7 at 22.56 a day. Dogecoin is coming back strong and finally beating out the Kitty coin. Finally. KD6 at 15.63 a day in revenue. And then the KD5 is probably somewhere around here, right? Yeah, 9.62 a day after power. Scrolling down, we have the S19 Pro, which we check every day at $5.60 a day on Digibyte. Let's get into questions and answers. Remember, Super Chats are never required at first to be answered because they're the easiest to read. Alternatively to that, to get your answer or your question answered, make sure that you go ahead and tag at Son of a Tech at the beginning of your message. It highlights it orange, making it easier to read. I cannot answer questions if I can't read them. So the easiest way, make it easy for me to read, and we'll be good to go. Also, super chats are the best for the algorithm. So huge shout out to Rolo Rob for the $2 super chat and Impala for the 99 super chat sticker. You guys rock. If you want to support the channel locally and get the most revenue to me with the least amount of cut being taken out, sonofatech.locals.com is where you can do that. But it's free to be a member over there, and I highly recommend it because you're going to get plenty of updates over there. So if things like your notifications are broken right now, go ahead and hit it up. All right, so Chadwick says, Ask Son of a Tech, CCX is not that profitable. We checked it out on Rocket Chat. There you go. Retro Mike Crypto says, Ask Son of a Tech, what to mine has the wrong exchange rated for conceal. Makes sense. Lots of people trying, though. Hugo Down, thanks for the $5 super chat. What's going on, Eduardo? Welcome to the stream. Happy Dictator says, at Son of a Tech, the rise in ETC hash rate is because all of those jazz miners can no longer mine ETH. Well, there wasn't really that high of a rise in ETC hash rate, though. Right? I didn't see much. Wasted Trash Panda, thank you for the $10 super chat. Says, I'll be with you through the bear market. It started a year ago, and you're 4K into equipment, eating the power bill and not selling GPUs. Also, F big tech, social media, and the government. Dang it, you guys are really trying to hurt my algo, aren't you? It's all good. No, I agreed for the most part. As far as, you know, if you're able to eat the power bill and you got a way to pay for it and you want to hold, you know, that's on you, not financial advice, but I hope that we'll just see the same patterns repeat themselves and you'll be looking good in some time. Racco says, Ask Son of a Tech, could you change from checking what to mine to check miner stats? Because what to mine is not accurate. Miner stats also has sometimes a bit off, but a bit better. I think the best one, we use what to mine because it's kind of the standard. My favorite one when I'm checking myself is 2CryptoCalc. I'll show you guys that here. Like this one is by 2 miners and seems to be the best. So if you guys want to move to this, we could do that. It is showing Ravencoin in first place for the 3070 right now and Ethereum in second place. But we could move to that if that's the general consensus. 99-cent super chat sticker from Bojangles. Thank you, good sir. Impala says, as Son of a Tech, some deals are starting to pop up for equipment. Yeah, hopefully that is good. It sounds like the supply chains are starting to get themselves worked out. Papa Lib says, as Son of a Tech, I've been looking at an ultrasonic cleaner as well. What model did you get? Here, I'll get the link for you. I haven't tested this yet, so wait until I go to the farm and test it as well, if you can wait that long. But this is the one we went with, which is the Rovson 3 liter. It seems a little small. I might want a bigger one. Village BC says, Ask Son of a Tech, do you have spreadsheets you use for calculating profitability when you sell, if you should buy cards and etc.? The best thing to do, or the easiest one, is actually just using bitcoin.tax for that, because it will track that for you. It'll track like when you sell it and all that. Kevin Smith says, Ravencoin pumped like 20 to 30% today. There you go. We're getting a nice pump in Ravencoin as well. I don't know exactly why, though. Yeah, it's up 30% to 3 cents at this specific time. Daniel says, Ask Son of a Tech, do you think you could run Hivon on a Raspberry Pi with a PCIe board? I don't see why not. I think you could do it probably pretty easy. You'll probably have a load average problem all the time, though. Probably be like LA, high, reading a lot. Yeah, slow day today, even though we're having such a good day in cryptocurrency. I'm surprised. It is what it is. Maybe we just head on over to locals. Actually, maybe I just head on over to the farm, to be completely honest. I got a lot of equipment to throw online today. We got to build a Bitcoin node tonight. That'll be on twitch.tv/blindrun if you want to stop by for building that node. You're looking at a 10 liter. That might be a better plan. Oh, Retro Mike corrected me. He says Hivon doesn't support ARM. That's a good point. But maybe simple mining or just Ubuntu or something. I'll check simple mining. GamerKid says, Ask Tech, have you tried running a Kasparov node on Hive? No, I have not. Daniel says, Ask Tech, hey man, do you know why Conceal is so profitable to mine without a price pump or a difficulty drop? It's actually not profitable to mine. Right now, what it's doing is it's pulling from the wrong exchange. And so it's getting incorrect data. Scott Schultz says, Ask Tech, bro, I feel your pain on the 3090s now, having to shut down my biggest moneymaker in the daytime heat. Frustrating. Maybe go to Ergo, possibly. Chadwick says, Ask Tech, 250% luck on Neoxa, despite having lowest diff and hash in weeks. Oh, bummer, dude. That is the pain of solo mining, right? Rocco says, Ask Tech, how much would you value a GPU that does 24 mega hash a second on 61 watts on Kapow? I don't know. Go calculate it. Right? You just go to what to mine. You click in here on Ravencoin. You do 21 at 60 mega hash a second, or at 60 watts. Calculate that out. I suppose it would be worth $1.11 a day in revenue. Which means it's probably worth about $200 to $220. Happy Dictator says, Ask Tech, are you going to try your luck solo mining Bitcoin? Probably, yes. Miller Mining says, Ask Tech, did you get the Ergo node running? Yes, I did get it running. It looks like it's running good, and I'm going to try to do a video guide on it. Zygminer says, Ask Tech picked up 113070s at $350 a piece this week. Congratulations, good sir. Retro Mike Crypto says, Ask Tech, I just run Ubuntu 64 server on my Pi cluster with a startup script for the miners. Yeah, that would probably work out great. Cake says, Ask Tech, so you're just going to ignore your question because you don't like them and it throws you in a bad light? No, we didn't see your question here. You can tag me again if you like. Nobody sees it. You have to tag at Son of a Tech. Scrolling up and I don't see it, bro. So go ahead and post the question again. Village BC says, Ask Tech, what are the benefits to running your own node locally? It reduces the latency that your miners have to solve a block, right? So if you have a node synced up, right, and you are pulling and you have it on your local network, the latency from your miner to the node is very low. And because the node is staying synced with the rest of the network, it's gathering the work that needs to be done faster. So your miners have a better chance at solving a block and providing that information to the blockchain so that you can go ahead and get it out faster. You just have a better chance of solving a block solo. Stark says, Ask Tech, 3D graphics pads seem to work really great on GDDR6X. Softer than most other pads as well, so compression is good. Nice. Daniel Kemper says, ask Avatech, what do you think about the $10 million fund to ETC? It's almost as profitable as mine ETC as ETH right now. What do you think about the 10 million? We talked about that earlier, and I also did a clip from the Twitch live stream yesterday. Detroit says, ask Avatech, do you still have an active EZIL referral code? EZIL.me, the pool? Yeah, hold on. Let me see if I can pull it. Here is the code. Thanks for the reminder, Paula. Village BC says, ask Avatech, so those nodes work when, even if you were mining to a pool? No, not to a pool. You have to mine to the node that you built. Snoozu says, ask Avatech, have you tried using copper mod for mining? No, I have not. A lot of people like it though. Stowpie says, ask Avatech, do you have a guide on setting up a node for us to do some research? No, I'm still working on, each node will have to be individual guides for, because the thing is like every node's going to function different. For example, Ergo uses Java, right? So you're going to have to install Java. Then you're going to have to build a configuration file that works with Java. Then you're going to have to run the node with Java commands. Ethereum Classic uses Besu and Hyperledger, so you're going to have to be familiar with Besu and Hyperledger and know how to connect that to Ethereum Classic. And you can also do a version that would use a Docker image, so we would be then installing Docker and then doing Docker commands to run that. Every node itself is individually different, and that means that you have nuances and different little tiny things that you got to do for each node. It's a learning process. The best thing to do to start preparing for that, though, is start learning, basically, in my humble opinion, command line in general, right? So preferably Linux command line, getting in there with the CLI, just playing around with it, learning how to navigate, learning how to change directories, understanding permissions. All that sort of stuff is going to be your base layer of understanding that you need to build nodes. Happy Dictator says, ask Avatech, is it possible to solo mine Flux to your own node? That's one I'm not sure about, Happy Dictator. Daniel says, ask Avatech, LMAO, when you say you're going to go, everyone starts with 100 questions. What I meant with ETC question is, do you think it's worth to stack ETC right now instead of ETH? I would think it's worth to stack ETH all the way up till September 19th and then dump it. Not financial advice, but ETH's going to go up a lot, especially after we saw all the liquidations of all the shorts today. Stowpie says, ask Avatech, awesome, thanks. The reply is enough for me to get started with the research. No problem. Miller Mining, I think I have the solution for you. We have mine running now good, and I ran into some similar frustrations. What ended up making it easy was just manually installing Java and then not using any of their image pools, and then grabbing the jar file and uploading it via just a WinSCP session and then running it from there. Cake says, ask Avatech, why haven't you changed the 8% cash back on your ad when you know it's not true? I have actually been saying, like we did in the ad today, that it is 5%. and I do need to change it. And thanks for calling that out. That is purely a time constraint thing. And I also hate recording ads because it takes me forever and I'm trying to get a lot of content out. It's not a good excuse, but that's why we clarify at the beginning of the ad every single time. And that is where I'm at with it. Happy Dictator says, ask Simon Tech, when you were mining Beam, was NVIDIA better than AMD? Not necessarily, no. Nicholas Kane says, ask Simon Tech, I've been solo mining Firo, slightly less profit than ETH, but runs much cooler. I thought I would point out that for those struggling with heat today. Firo is less profit than ETH, but cooler. Why would Firo be cooler? I haven't had that experience with Firo. Daniel Kemper says, ask Simon Tech, sorry about the 100 questions. I should probably join locals. What do you think about Bitcoin Gold? It's having a nice pump, and I don't know much about the project. I don't know much about the project either, to be completely honest. Bitcoin Gold is one of those that I've stayed away from for the most part. It's an old project. I don't know why it's pumping today, so I don't have any insight on that. I'm sorry. Shout out to the Coastal Crypto Boys. Yeah, they're helping me out. For sure. Get some information for you guys. And if you use SOAT, you get 5% off of the order. Village BC says, ask Simon Tech, content production wise, I myself like technical stuff, deep dives into things. Yeah, and those are great. They also take a long time, right? So I like that. And I think Sebs does a great job with all the spreadsheet stuff. But I try to get to it and I try to get them done when I can, but there it is. Cake says, ask Simon Tech, it's a bad excuse. It's literally, you have been aware of it for weeks and it's 30-second voiceover and one word change. You're correct. I told you I have no excuse for it and that we are trying to correct it. My apologies. We'll try to get to that this evening. I don't know why you're so frustrated with it. I hear you. We will try to fix it. My apologies. There's nothing I can do about that right now. But, I hope that you have a better day, my dude. I really, really honestly hope you have a better day than you're having right now. Steve says, ask Simon Tech, when did you get your 5700 Octa miner to run on the newer, lower power algo? Or did I? So, one of them is, two of them are not. I think that I have to go clean all of the cards that are not. You know what I mean? And I think it's because, yeah, look, there's a lot of work to be done. I'm just one guy. I'm barely getting by with the amount of work I got to do. I will not lie to y'all. I literally have two miners over here. I'm taking the kids to all their events. I'm trying to run a mining farm, a channel. It's crazy. There's a lot of people that are helping. Metal Miners helping with the clipping, so I appreciate that a lot. Pioneer Smokehouse says, ask Simon Tech, you're so chill. It hurts my feelings when people slam me on YouTube. Nah, I mean, you get used to it. I've been doing it a long time. Unacceptable. Black Cat Crypto says, Ask Tech, thanks for your consistency and expertise. It helps me keep mining. Hopefully we can all keep mining. John says, Ask Tech, hey man, I don't care what anyone says. You're an all-around solid dude. I try. Thank you for the compliment. Stark says, hi, at Tech, BCH versus Bitcoin chart looks strong. I expect Bitcoin Cash to reach a 1-to-1 ratio with Bitcoin. I do not think so. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not going for the Bitcoin Cash. I'm not conflicted. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Village BC says, S7 is a fellow family guy. Time is something we don't have. Yeah, and I got to get better. You know, I'm also trying to like make sure we get all the content out on Twitch. I'm trying to do the things that I would normally be doing, like building the nodes and getting work done with that. So you guys can kind of learn along with me. So that's kind of what we've been doing on Twitch. Hopefully that helps. Detroit Hour says, at Tech, can't you just add flashing now 5% graphic? I think I just need to go redo the whole, well, so part of the problem is this. I'm supposed to have new assets for crypto.com ads. That is what we're supposed to be getting from crypto.com. They had asked me to change the ad up and they're supposed to be sending me stuff and they have not sent me stuff. So that is where I've been at with this. Now, temporarily, I can update the current ad to the 5%, which is what I will try to do probably right after this, just to make sure that everybody is happy. And then we'll move on from there. Kevin says, Ask Tech, love your content and super appreciate everything you do and you've done for the community. Thank you, good sir. Hopefully we can keep moving forward. Keep calm, mine on, says Jacob Burgess. Yes, sir. Starks says, at Son of a Tech, we appreciate what you do. Don't feel bad about taking a break now and then when you need to. I do need to take a day off for sure, but I don't know when the next one's going to be. I might take Saturday evening off, though. Cake says, at Son of a Tech, I'm only mad because it kind of sounds like the company is keeping you from changing it. No, the company is not keeping me from changing it. I can change that portion. Like I said, it's one of those logistics things where it was like, well, we're going to update all the assets anyways, right? And it was like, okay, well, I'm going to run the current ad. And they were like, that's fine. And then I said, okay, just get me the new assets. Now, you have to keep in mind, I've been telling you guys this for a while. As far as crypto.com is concerned, everybody in the crypto industry is struggling. Crypto.com is no different. Crypto.com has had major layoffs, which means if you are a content creator working with Crypto.com or working with any crypto company, what you are seeing is massive turnover rates. What does that mean for you as a content creator or somebody that's partnered with that company? That means that you are changing people you interact with very frequently, meaning like you are communicating with someone and then boom, they're no longer working there. You don't hear from someone for like a month and then you finally get someone else. That is what's happening, right? And that's happening across the entire crypto industry. There is a lot of people struggling, and that means with those turnover rates, lots of things start getting kind of lost in the fray. And that is something that happens in business a lot in these kind of setups and in these kind of times, right? When an industry is going through tumultuous times, things are like extremely difficult for people. That's what happens. So I try to extend out some understanding to these people because I get a new person in. It would be like this, right? So it would be like you're training jujitsu and the gym keeps getting a new coach, right? And that new coach comes in, he's trying to do his best, but he doesn't know what the last coach taught you. He doesn't know what level you're at, even though maybe you have a blue belt or whatever it is. He doesn't know everything through that, your blue belt phase of everything you know. You have to catch him up on everything, right? So you have to sit down with that coach and be like, okay, so I've learned this, this, and this. I'm kind of at this point. And then from there, then he still has to go back to the drawing board, put that all into like basically a sheet and try to figure out what to do to help you succeed. And this is what's happening when you're talking about these types of things. And that is going to be the same like with any project management. Would I say that they are struggling with their project management right now? Yes, I definitely would. Does that mean, compared to other companies that they're doing worse or better? I think that they've handled everything pretty good. There's a couple things that they've been able to maintain that, Coinbase isn't able to maintain, like their affiliate marketing program, for example, right? So this is kind of the position that we're in, and I'm being completely transparent about it with you. I'm not hiding anything. And that's my goal. So you guys are fully aware of it. Chadwick says, Ask Tech, you were just not good enough. We all know what you're doing. I really enjoy the show. I look forward to it daily. There you go. Thank you, sir. Samuel says, great show, dude. Jeff says, Ask Tech, did Epcot Power ever get your rate figured out? No, ERCOT, but no, my power's not. I'm really screwed right now. I had a conversation with them yesterday. They agreed to go to some sort of new billing format where it's like they'll average the cost of the extra cost that's being passed through over time. It's another, frankly, the same situation I'm talking about with crypto.com is the same with the power company, right? Where everything moves extremely slowly. Like you get one call one week, you find out one piece, you get another call the next week or 2 weeks down the line, you try to figure out that piece, and then you're just playing this long, painful waiting game. It's extremely stressful. Detroit says, I was just suggest a quick low effort fix so people can stop calling you out. Yeah, I'm going to get it fixed today. Max Barbell says, Ask Tech, keep on keeping on. The entire world is a mess and we have to stick together. Blue Dragon says, Ask Tech, can you open the original recording file in just over the 8% to 5% and call it a day? That's what I'm going to try to work on, but it comes out a little weird when you do that. I'll probably re-record the whole script and then paste it in. Cars in Crypto says, Ask Tech, I'm having an issue installing the Docker for the Flex node on Ubuntu. Getting an error saying wrong operating system. You probably need to change your operating system. Did you install Docker? Eugene says, Ask Tech, what do you think about Kraken objectively? Kraken, I like. Personally, I think it's Kraken. Yeah, FTX I don't like. I don't know. Shinfo. I prefer Pi. Thanks for the $1.99 super chat. That's going to end it today. We're at 11 a.m. I am going to re-record this pre-roll real quick. And then I'm going to go to the farm. And then I'm going to go to Jiu-Jitsu. Chad, can we reschedule our call possibly? Or maybe I'll call you from the farm. I'll hit you up later in a second. Thanks for watching, everybody. Be sure to hit the like, comment, subscribe, and notification bell down below. Check out Locals. You can become a member for free over there. And I will see you next Tuesday.